Hey everybody, Jordon Musser here. I was asked to kind of give maybe some advice or some thoughts on the Rock Island Grand Prix. And I thought I'd start with kind of history of the Rock Island Grand Prix for me, and then maybe some tips and tricks so you too could win a couple of those. So a lot of people don't know that in 2002, the first time I won the Rock Island Grand Prix in what was then Rotax, it was actually a pretty pivotal moment in my career for karting, because if it had not been for winning that race, I wouldn't have qualified for the Rotax Max Grand Finals, which I actually won, which then sent me to the Worlds and ended up with sponsors from CRG, etc. the following year. And quite frankly, my budget, I had a one-year karting budget for 02, so without winning Rock Island, which allowed me to race in the national finals for Rotax, I never would have won that race, never would have gotten those sponsors, etc., and probably my karting career would have ended after just a couple years. So Rock Island is extremely important to me, near and dear to my heart. Way back in 02, my first event, raced it, I don't know, more than a half dozen times, maybe even a dozen times since then. Won King of the Streets a couple times, so it's been a fun race for me. So now on to maybe a tip or two. So remember, you only get about 10 laps of practice, maybe 12, depending on how the classes work out and if there's any accidents, etc. So you absolutely have to make the most of every session, every lap. One, don't crash, which unfortunately I've done a few times, but do as I say, not as I do. The next thing would be pay a lot of attention every single lap. What I mean by that is you can't just drive around for the 5 or 8 lap practice and then come in and then talk about setup. Although yes, that is the result you'll end up at with, but given so few laps and you're learning the concrete where the barriers are, which move around on you, your cart, the tire pressures, the engine, the gearbox, the gear ratio, jetting, trying to determine all of that in just a couple laps. So you have to think a lot. So every lap you got to be thinking about, okay, how did that corner entry feel? How did that mid corner feel? How did that exit feel? How was the end? How was the carburation? How was the gearing? You only have a few laps to do that. So you can't just go around and waste a few laps, let's say open driving. You really have to be focused on a closed loop with your brain, thinking down every straightaway, okay, how was that corner? How's the gearing on this straightaway? How's the jetting? So I think that's a key part of being successful at Rock Island. Not only don't hit stuff, but make sure that every lap, every corner, you're using that information to help make yourself better. Anyway, unfortunately, I won't be able to join this year. I'm going to head to Europe to race in the KZ World Finals, which is going to be incredible. Probably get my ass kicked, but I think it's going to be a good time. Sorry I won't be there at Rock Island this year, but I hope everyone has a wonderful and challenging race, and stay off the barriers.